Hello, BookTube. I'm filming this video just a few minutes after dawn, very early in the day, because I'm assuming from the last 2 days that I will need the whole length of the day to upload it. Not that it really matters. It just means I can't do any last-minute additions to the faithful iPad. And last-minute additions in this case might mean something, because this is Last Week in BookTube, where I look back at the previous week of my viewing and give you some highlights, some things that I wanted to bring to your attention if you haven't seen them already. Not meant in any way to be comprehensive. I watch a lot more BookTube than I mention in this video, and I'm sure that for every video that I watch, there are 10 that are really good that I don't see. But this is just a quick list of things that I will annotate them down below that I wanted to bring to your attention that I liked, and maybe you would like them as well. And I wanted to start off with just a general category. The first item being one of pure congratulations. Olive at A Book Olive reached 10,000 subscribers. Totally well deserved. I am 100% sure that everyone who's watching this video also subscribes to her. But if by some chance you don't, if for some chance, for instance, the YouTube algorithm alerted you to my channel because I've made 80 million videos, but hasn't yet alerted you to hers, then I follow the link down below and become her 10,000th and first subscriber. You won't be sorry. Also, one of the trends that was going around BookTube last week, and I think a little bit the week before that, was people making their best of the year 2018 summary videos. The best of the year so far, sort of a halfway thing. There's the mid-year freakout tag. There's a couple of variations on the mid-year freakout tag that give you sort of categories and subject headings that you can sum up the reading year so far. But in addition to that, there's also been a rash of videos where people just list and talk about their favorite books of the year so far. And I've felt they're utterly fascinating, especially, as always, the overlap. Any titles that overlap. But I've also felt a little bit left out, and a little bit curious now whether or not I would even try to do such a thing. I at the end of the year, do a written version, a written year's best and worst list on my literary blog, Steve Reads, which is located at Open Letters Review now. And it's definitive. it's the only thing I do that's definitive. It's something like 10 categories, 10 books apiece, and summarizes the whole of my year's reading. And I haven't known whether or not it's possible or worthwhile for me to do a midway point version of that as a video. I'm still not actually sure how I will do, or whether I will do, any companion to that written Steve Reads list as a video. The interlink between the two is still foggy to me. But I've loved the videos. I wish that I had the ability to make a playlist. But I'm sure that if you subscribe to a lot of BookTube channels, you will have seen them. And then Erica at PerksofBooks began her MEGALONG, her discussion of Meg by Steve Alton. I fully intend to join in as well. She did her first discussion video of the first, I think, 119 pages this week. And I want to do a video on the same page. I'm just a little bit behind. To tell you the truth, the fact that something is drastically wrong with internet connectivity in the East Coast of the United States, so that it takes a whole day to upload a video, so that I can't watch videos anymore. I start a video and it goes for a few seconds, and then it stops, and I get that spinning wheel icon that shows that it's still loading. That fact has sort of interfered with my filming mojo. But sometime this week I want to join in my own discussion of the first part of Meg, because Megalong might not come along again in our lifetimes. And then we had Jeremy at JerSingsandReads did his annual video. Can you believe? It's time for he does one video a year, and this is it. He did his annual video. And right behind him, in terms of the taking long breaks, would be David at the Poptimist, who also did a video. For the first time since Truman was in office, or maybe in his case Trudeau was in office, one way or another. Two wonderful booktubers. And it was wonderful to see their faces pop up in my feed. Then I wanted to talk, since I myself love book reviews, I wanted to talk about a few of those. Just note a few of them. I'll list them all down below. I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but it seems to me that recently there have been more book reviews on BookTube than usual. BookTube used to give book reviews sort of a wide berth. They're known as low viewership videos. They gather views over time, but you don't get that burst right away for understandable reasons. You put the title of a video, you know, I'm reviewing Ice Princess Goes to School by Maeve Blankenship, and if you have 400 subscribers, 390 of them are going to look at that and say, well, I have no interest in reading that book, so there's no reason for me to watch a review. Unless you've got the right kind of subscribers, the kind that I think we should all have, where they're just interested in you. And there doesn't have to be a correspondence between what you're talking about and what they intend to read. But we aren't there yet, so I think that accounts for why book reviews tend to get lower viewership at first. But they get higher viewership over time because people go to BookTube and look for reviews of a certain thing, and that is evergreen. Whereas, as people have pointed out, no one is really going to go to BookTube and find out what somebody's TBR was for some 1 week in 2015. But one way or another, whether there's more of them than there were before, or whether I'm just noticing them more now, there were a few that I wanted to bring to your attention, just in case you didn't see them. The first one being by Daniel Greene. He did a review of The Little Prince. Always fun to see. He says in this video that he understands why it's one of the most beloved books of all time, and talks about it in a way that I liked. Then Unmanaged Mischief. I have a feeling that she's immensely popular, so you probably all subscribe to her. But she reviewed Meg Howry's The Crane's Dance, did a wonderful job. Meg Howry's a writer that I think about a lot. I like her a lot. I think she's one of those writers that I find particularly exciting because I think she gets noticeably better with every book. Then Leslie Cardix did a review of Catcher in the Rye that was, to put it mildly, unfavorable. It was scandalous because, of course, it's heresy to dislike Catcher in the Rye now. But nevertheless, her points landed for yours truly. And then Kate Roseanne did a video review of Diana Gabaldon's Outlander that was enthusiastic. It was extremely enthusiastic. It was a good review in that she remembers to talk about the book instead of just gushing over a certain someone's exposed abs. And it gives a good sense by the end of the review whether or not you're interested in reading the book. Then there was Mrs. Average Evaluates, and a channel that's new to me. I loved it. I love what I've seen so far. And she reviews The Mistress of Pennington's by Rachel Brimble. And does a wonderful job. Talks about characters, talks about plot development, talks about pacing and historical setting. Made me make sure that I will watch the rest of her videos. And lastly, Jason Purcell, BookTube's own Jason Purcell, who did a review of The Tin Man by Sarah Winman, who some of you may remember Simon Savage at his channel enthusing about. And as all of Jason's book discussions, it was wonderful, just wonderful. So I'll leave a link to all these down below. They're all well worth your time. And then I wanted to end on a few just general things. The first one being a channel. I'm not sure that I would call it a BookTube channel. I don't know one way or another. It's Alistair Reviews It. That's the name of the channel. The young man is named Alistair. He also has a channel that he shares with his husband, where they just talk about their thoughts and their adventures and their adorable dogs as a married couple. But on his own channel, Alistair Reviews It, I'm not 100% sure that he considers himself part of BookTube. But one way or another, if he talks about books, he falls within the ambit of Last Week in BookTube, I think. And he talked about books. He did a wonderful video called My Book Buying Ritual, where he actually goes to his Barnes & Noble and walks us through the process that so many of us are familiar with, of going to the bookstore, picking out all the stuff that appeals to you, sitting down, winnowing through it, deciding what you really want, what you don't really want, what's too expensive, what's not. I wish, when I was watching the video, and it's done in such a friendly way. It's such both his channels are so friendly and inviting. And when I was watching it, I was thinking, gee, I wish that everybody could make a video like this. I don't know how far it would get before there'd be, for instance, backlash from Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble policy is there's no filming allowed in the store. No photographs, especially no live filming, without corporate permission. Absolutely ridiculous, and like so many Barnes & Noble rules, a violation of the United States Constitution, in this case the First Amendment. But one way or another, I was surprised that Alistair wasn't swarmed when he tried that in his local Barnes & Noble, so I imagine if enough booktubers started doing it, there would be swarming that would happen. But one way or another, that might not happen in non-chain bookstores, and I think it would be fascinating. I wish that I had the editing ability to do it myself. I wouldn't do it with Barnes & Noble, I would do it with the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston. But the rituals would be largely the same, I think. Like, for instance, my own ritual at the Brattle is to pull everything. When I'm in the outside, they have outside sale cards, $1, $3, and $5 sale books. And if it's a nice day, sunny and not too cold and whatnot, when I'm going through there, I pick everything that I might want. I don't think, okay, the third cart from the left, 10 books in on the second shelf. I don't think I'm going to remember that. Instead, I pull everything I might want until I've got a big armload. And then I assess. And that ritual would hold true if I were shopping in a new retail store. So I wish that I could do that. Maybe if I have help, somebody to film it for me, a muscular teenager or something or other. I get the strong impression that Alistair and his husband were not too long ago both muscular teenagers. But I strongly recommend, in fact, if I remember, I'll leave the link not only to Alistair Reviews It, but also to the channel that he shares with his husband, because it's heartwarming viewing. Except for his husband's latest video, which is fascinating in its own right, but it's not heartwarming. It was a very angry video. It was absolutely fascinating. But then also, Cam at Wolfshot Publishing did a video that I think we need from time to time, especially with popular channels like him. He has over 5,000 subscribers, and he did a video on the things that he loves and the things that he hates about BookTube. Kept the number of things fairly short and made some wonderful points. Some absolutely wonderful points. I was nodding my head most of the video. The one time that I disagreed with him was when he said that he had no problem with sponsored reviews, with booktubers doing sponsored reviews. I wish that he had phrased it just a bit differently. If he'd said sponsored content, I'd have been just fine. There is, in fact, no such thing as a sponsored review. If someone is paying you money, you cannot objectively review their work. If they're paying you to review their work, your objectivity, your reliability as a reviewer is fatally compromised. It doesn't matter if you say, well, I only accepted the money because I liked the thing anyway. No one in their right mind would believe you, and no one should. No one should believe you when you make that claim. Sponsored content, absolutely. If you want, sure thing. Although, I might point out, as I pointed out on this channel before, the main thing is, well, Cam's a self-published author, so he knows this as well as anybody, but noticing something is a huge amount of approval. Noticing something is already doing that something a huge favor. There are more books now than there have ever been. So even noticing something is a huge part of the deal, and believe you me, the publishers and the agents and the whatnots who dangle around these sponsored content deals for booktubers know that perfectly well. They might hem and haw about, you know, what points you're going to hit and whether or not it's you say in exchange for an honest review and all that, because they know they've already won the game if you simply distinguish their book from the herd. So, you know, noticing a book even in sponsored content is still a little bit problematic, to use that ugly, horrible modern word. But not so much so. If you say, the publisher contacted me, this is what the book is about, this is what the book looks like, this is when the book comes out, maybe let me read you a little excerpt, let me tell you a little about the author. That is one thing. Purporting to review a work, here are the strengths, here are the weaknesses, where's my check, doesn't work at all. It doesn't work at all. But all the other points that Cam made about the good parts and bad parts of BookTube were wonderful. Well worth your time to watch, because they'll get you thinking. Periodic check-ins like that are very helpful in a big and constantly growing community like this. And speaking of the community, let's end, shall we, with the howling travesty of the week. And that would be Adam at MementoMori, who did a fantastic video taking all the light we do not see down a peg. or two. All the Light We Cannot See is a World War II novel, and Adam considers it schmaltzy and ridiculously sentimental, over the top. And I noticed from his comments that a few other readers do too. It was universally praised, almost. And well-reviewed. It made its way onto some people's lists for year-end best books. But even so, it was hilarious to watch it taken down a peg or two. And then, now that wasn't the travesty. And then Adam segued from there to the fact that it was universally praised, universally reviewed, and talked about, and hype culture. Awards and hype culture, getting on the hype train. And he talked about the people who tend to fetishize that and what they're like, what their videos are like if they're booktubers. And then he segued from there to wondering out loud to the camera if those people actually read books at all. Or if they're looking for award-darling novellas that are quick and easy and that they can partially read and then talk about. Booktube. In other words, on his video, not in a comment, but on his video directly at the camera, he accused some of the biggest booktubers out there of being, say it with me now, fake readers. But will there be torches and pitchforks for Adam? No. Will there be a hashtag campaign raging over one whole life-destroying weekend on Twitter? No. No. Instead, there'll be squeals of approval from all the ranks of the auditorium saying, oh, his hair is so dreamy. Oh, he's so cool. Oh, he's so hip. There's no justice in the world. None. And that's pretty much it. For last week in BookTube. There were plenty of other things that I could talk about. This could be 3 times as long. But I wanted to finish up with a recommendation that isn't BookTube. Just to broaden your horizons a bit. Get you out of the house. Get you off the couch. And the video I have in mind is by a channel called Riddle with 3 Ds. And it's called Insects 300 Million Years Ago. And it talks about the heyday of the insect kingdom. You might think they have a heyday today, since 70% of life forms on Earth are insects. Since 70% of the biomass of living things on this planet are insects. So that if an alien were to come to this world and bioscan the planet, they would say the planet has 3 races, 3 inhabitants. Number 1, microbes. Far and away the most numerous thing. Far and away, microbes are everywhere. They're in every single thing. They're inside the middle of rocks. And they're certainly in every other living thing. Microbes. Second, bacteria. And third, insects. They would look at our insect overlords and assume that they were calling the shots, not this minuscule example of a primate that's mostly microbe itself. And the video is really well done. It's got lots of great visuals, and it will make you... It's one of the only videos I know of, one of the only popular science videos I know of on YouTube that I've seen, that will actually make you happy instead of sad that you don't live in the time of the dinosaurs. And there's also some pretty good science in there, so I'll leave a link to it down below. It's worth your time to check it out. And that's it. That is last week in BookTube. Talk about once a year. But I'll try to be more regular. And as usual, I would love to know things that you've seen that you think are worthwhile. Let me know. Probably a lot of them I've already noticed, but probably a lot of them I haven't too. So we'll have that conversation in the comments field. And I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.